Good morning and welcome to Hamilton here on the North Island of New Zealand. It's a beautiful morning here today. It was a very frosty night last night, but it's turned out to be a beautiful day today. It's going to be an exciting day today. Today we're taking the Northern Explorer train all the way down to the nation's capital of Wellington. It's going to be quite a long journey. It's about 8 hours and 10 minutes, so the train is due to leave at 10:15 local time. It actually originates in Auckland at 7:45 a.m. before heading to Hamilton. Plenty of time to spare. Let's now get ready to get checked in and learn a little bit more about the history of Hamilton Frankton railway station itself. So the original site of the Hamilton Frankton Junction Railway Station is one of the oldest in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Dates back to 19th of December 1877, making it one of the oldest indeed. Really has played a pivotal role in the economy of Hamilton and has served as quite a significant station along the various iterations of passenger train and goods services that have operated along the main trunk line between Auckland and Wellington over the last century or so. These include the Night Limited, the Northerner, the Overlander, and the current iteration operated by Great Journeys of New Zealand, being the Northern Explorer. Now we're heading into the very, very small waiting room here. So yeah, let's make ourselves known to the one single operating ground agent here. And also we're going to check our 23 kilo bag allowance through to Wellington. Saves us the hassle of taking it on the train. So yeah, if you do wish to drop off a bag, it's a very, very narrow time that you can do it. Opens 30 minutes prior to departure and then again closes 20 minutes prior to departure. This means you have a ridiculously small 10-minute window to make yourself known and drop off your bags. So yeah, I've got to the station about half an hour before the estimated departure. You really don't need to get here any earlier. There's nothing really much here, to be honest, apart from a small waiting area and restrooms. There's a vending machine and a water machine, but apart from that there's nothing else there, so I wouldn't really get here too early, to be honest. But yeah, today's journey is going to take us southbound, obviously, towards the nation's capital. We should go through kind of the central plateau area of the North Island, so that means we should have some great views of the Tongariro National Park along the way, midway through the journey, and we should also stop by briefly at the town of Ohakune, which I visited last year, which is up one of the highest towns in New Zealand. Also hoping we should get some great views of Mount Ruapehu today. Excuse my pronunciation, it's not that great, which is I think the highest mountain / volcano on the North Island of New Zealand, so it should be with some recent wintry weather, it should be nice and snow-capped, I would assume. Then later on we're going to continue south. We'll make it along the Kapiti Coast and all that down towards Wellington, where we'll arrive at 6:25 this evening if all goes to plan. For your information, in terms of getting to Hamilton Frankton Station, just keep in mind there's 2 railway stations in the rather large city of Hamilton, and this is the only station that's serviced by the Northern Explorer. Luckily, this is the closer station of the 2 to the city centre, though it's still around a 2.5 to 3 kilometre walk, or roughly half an hour from most city hotels. If you can find an Uber or a taxi will even take you out there, it's more like a 5-minute drive. You can also get an affordable public bus. There's several routes that go past your station. But yeah, the travel time is around 30 minutes, so it's almost quicker to walk if you can manage that. In terms of regional connectivity, Hamilton is still much better served by air and bus transportation, namely Air New Zealand regional flights and also the intercity bus network. So this train station doesn't really see too much action in the grand scheme of things. Obviously the Northern Explorer only operates 3 times a week in each direction. There is, however, the relatively new Tahua train service that takes 2.5 hours linking Auckland with Hamilton. It's a twice daily service, and it's definitely quite a popular way to travel between Hamilton and Auckland. But apart from that, it's a pretty quiet train station here at Hamilton. Anyway, it's only a few minutes past our scheduled departure time of 10:15 a.m. and here's our ride, the Great Journeys of New Zealand at Northern Explorer operated train taking us down to Wellington today. So yeah, the train is hauled by a New Zealand DF Class 1979 series diesel locomotive, which carries the New Zealand AK Class rolling carriages. So yeah, rocking up to the station now. This definitely looks like it's going to be a fairly comfortable ride down to Wellington today. As you can see, it definitely looks like a medium haul sort of train suited to daytime tourist travel. It's got the viewing carriage at the front, followed by 2 regular passenger carriages. Then you've got the cafe car, then you've also got another passenger carriage, and then at the back you've got the luggage car. So now I think we've very much spent plenty of time talking about the expected service today, so let's head on in and actually get on the train and experience it for itself today. So today I'm seated in carriage B, so towards the front of the train, seat 3D to be specific. A bit of a slight hiccup, a few of us boarding here try and open the door and it doesn't seem to open whatsoever. A few minutes later, the train attendant tries himself to open it and it still doesn't seem to work. So anyway, we are funneled through another entrance in another carriage, and yeah, now we're on the train. Looks very, very modern and spacious indeed. So for the next few moments, let's just take out a Hamilton station here this morning and hear a little bit from the onboard announcements as to what we can expect on today's journey. So yeah, in a few minutes time I'll then go over the seat features and the amenities on this train.
If you're on board, come and see us. We're boarding past in the cafe. And welcome on board. Everybody just joined the train in Hamilton. There's no smoking anywhere on board. Toilets are located at the fronts of each passenger car and at the rear of the cafe carriage. Please familiarise yourselves with the safety cards on your tables or seat pockets. You'll find menus for the cafe bar service located in car C on your tables or seat pockets. And just make your selection of food on the display or heat whatever needs to be heated. Limit the number of seats in the cafe. We're welcome to dine. Please vacate the area when you finish eating. The cafe seats for dining only. In front of the train is the viewing deck. Stay within the railings out there when you pass close by the line-side vegetation. Travel through tunnels. Children should be accompanied by adults who are learning about the train and the deck. No smoking anywhere on board the train. This includes all carriage, vestibule, toilet, gangway and outdoor areas. The next station stop will be in Otorohanga at around 5 past 11. 5 past 11.
So now that we're travelling through the industrial outskirts of the city of Hamilton, it's probably best now we go over the seating and amenities on this train, because before long the scenery is really going to get quite spectacular. Anyway, the seating amenities on this train, very much a strong point of the Northern Explorer train service. But you should really rightly expect this, because it's a pretty steep price tag that comes along with this journey. In total, there's 7 sections to the Northern Explorer train. This consists of an open-air viewing carriage, which is located right at the front of the forward passenger cars A and B. Then you've got a cafe car, and then you've got another passenger car D. Finally, at the rear of the train, there's a luggage car as well, where checked luggage goes. At the front of each of the main carriages, there's also a wheelchair accessible toilet as well, which is great. So yeah, in total there's 198 seats on this Scenic Class train. They're pretty comfortable. They have really good leg room as well, more than adequate for the daytime sort of travel. There's no overnight services these days between Auckland and Wellington, so it's all daylight travel. So it shouldn't be a problem, the lack of sleeper options on this train. Most seats are forward facing. They come in a 2-2 configuration, and they come equipped with airline style folding seat back tables. Makes it pretty easy to buy a meal or a drink, bring it back to your seat and enjoy. There's also seating booths as well with some of the seating. They have 4 seats with twin set of seats. They face each other. They have a large table in the middle. These are probably more ideal for families and small groups travelling together. Could be a little bit awkward if you're sitting with strangers, but I could imagine. Another great feature of this train is it's almost ceiling to floor windows. They allow for some excellent viewing wherever you're located on the train. There's even sort of sky windows that face up from the overhead luggage racks. Although if they had been full, it would have really defeated their purpose. Luckily, however, very few people had put the items up there, so it wasn't too bad. Whilst there's no seatback entertainment screens on the Northern Explorer, nor any stream to your own entertainment device options, there's not even Wi-Fi available. However, at each seat you'll find a vacuum sealed head rest, which can be plugged into the seat's headphone jack. This provides a really excellent geo-activated commentary along the journey. The commentary itself is really thorough, provided an excellent overview of all the geographical features along the route, of which there's plenty. It's a very, very scenic route. Gives you a great idea of the history of the region as well, the settlements, all the railway history along the way, and obviously all the local Maori culture as well. There are also seemingly data overhead monitors throughout the carriages. viewing deck out here is amazing. So now while we're at it, let's have a quick look at the lavatory on the Northern Explorer train. Here's the bathrooms on the train. They tend to be at the end of each carriage. Fairly basic, but fairly neat and clean overall. It's everything you need. It's got a baby change table, so yeah, not bad at all. Lever there. You have to pull it up for it to lock, but yeah, no complaint. Anyway, just capping up on the features of the Northern Explorer train. As I've just been out on the viewing deck, I can definitely say this is the place to be on this journey. This is really my favourite part of the journey. I've probably spent over half of the whole 8-hour journey out here on the viewing deck. I'll tell you a little bit more tips about travelling out in the viewing deck a little bit later on, but for now let's get a bite to eat and check out the onboard cafe car. So Northern Explorer train has a dedicated restaurant car. You'll find it located between passengers car B and D. It's the only place you can purchase food and beverage on board. Must be purchased directly at the cafe. No direct seat to service on this train. The cafe car does remain largely open throughout the journey. Short time after leaving Auckland Strand, then it closes around 45 minutes out of Wellington, or at least on today's service. In the cafe car, there's also a small seating area which is reserved for anyone dining, or otherwise you're more than welcome to take your purchase back seat. Cafe car, you'll find 4 different main hot meal options in addition to a selection of pies, pastries, sandwiches, cakes and snacks. Also available for purchase during most of the journey. There's also a good range of drinks and alcoholic beverages, including premium New Zealand craft beers and some lovely local wines. You can also get local barista-made coffee on board as well, which is great. Despite being touted as a premium experience due to the train's steep price tag, all the hot meal options needed to be heated by staff at the time of ordering. So I think the prices of mains have ranged around $19.50 to $21.50 New Zealand dollars. They were kind of close to the restaurant prices, although were pre-packaged nonetheless. I mean, they were pretty expensive for what you got. Pastries, snacks, alcoholic drinks, they seem to be more in line, however, with airline prices. Beers, wines, typical cost range around $9 to $11. Point of note, FPOS is available on the train, however it does constantly run out as it runs kind of on a mobile internet connection. So if your own phone is out of range, chances are the FPOS will be as well. So yeah, while cafe staff are happy to start a tab, so you can repay that at the end of the journey or when the train comes back into range. But yeah, to save yourself any hassle, I would probably just bring some cash on board for this journey. Now that we've just departed the small town of Otorohanga, population 3,300, located just 53 kilometres south of Hamilton, still located in the Waikato region and also along the Waipa River. So now we've got our first stop on today's journey out of the way. What better time now to go over in some more detail about the route information. So today's service is indeed operated by the Northern Explorer train. Obviously it's one of the most popular and by far the longest passenger train service that you can do in the whole of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Travelling between New Zealand's largest city of Auckland and its capital of Wellington, the total journey is scheduled to take 10 hours and 55 minutes on the northbound and 10 hours and 35 minutes on the inbound. The service is not that frequent, to be honest, only operates 3 times per week in each direction, with southbound operating on Monday, Thursdays and Saturdays as we are today, while the northbound operates on Fridays, Sundays and Wednesdays. So the total distance of the journey comes in at 681 kilometres, that being starting at Auckland Strand Station. Operates along the main North Island main trunk, which is a 1067mm mainly single line track, covers almost the entirety of the journey. Also operating along parts of the route is a Tahua train, which operates twice daily between Auckland and Hamilton, where we started today. And you also got the Capital Connection train service between Wellington and Palmerston North as you get further south. In addition, you've got the Kiwi Rail freight services, which operate frequently, providing a crucial goods and freight connection throughout North Island of New Zealand. Approximately 460 kilometres or 65% of the line is electrified. Though for the Northern Explorer services, its New Zealand A class rolling carriages are hauled by a diesel-powered New Zealand DFDAT class 1979 General Motors locomotive. So now we're entering through the town of Taumaruni, population around just shy of 5,000 people. We're about 2 hours into the journey from Hamilton today, or around 120 kilometres to the south. After this lovely little town here, we will then be starting to make our way up through the Ruapehu district of the North Island and also across through the spectacular Tongariro National Park. Alrighty, we're now leaving the station here. It's just gone 12:30 p.m. here in Taumaruni. It's really turning out to be a lovely, cool but crisp day as we travel through the central plateau region of the North Island. The next few hours are going to be arguably the most spectacular part of today's journey, as we're going to be soon crossing through the Tongariro National Park, and we're going to get amazing glimpses of Mount Ruapehu as well. So yeah, as we leave the station now, what better time now to just enjoy all the magnificent views as we head south towards Wellington. It's now been about 50 minutes since our last stop at Taumaruni, and now we're approaching National Park Station, which is the highest settlement in the whole of New Zealand, located approximately 825 kilometres above sea level. So as you see now, the scenery outside is getting very, very dramatic indeed as we get our first glimpse of the spectacular Tongariro National Park. So yeah, we're rocking up now at the very Scenic National Park Station. National Park Station is also quite historic, dating back well over 100 years to November 1908. Even though it's a very, very small settlement here, and some people might wonder why it would have a train station, it is basically the go-to place if you are travelling by train and you want to easily access the Tongariro National Park. So anyway, we are now leaving the station. Very, very shortly after, the train will make a quick stop as we get the perfect vantage point of Mount Ruapehu, which is pretty well immediately ahead. Pity a camper van is slightly taking up the best spot, but there's still amazing views there nonetheless across from the car park. But anyway, as we continue along, it's more and more amazing scenery as we continue south through Tongariro today. So until we get to our next station, just continue on enjoying some of this magnificent scenery from out here on the amazing outdoor viewing deck. From here, it's now approximately 30 minutes along to the ski resort service town of Ohakune, which is also well up in the central plateau region of the North Island. Let's have a little bit more information about Mount Ruapehu, which we're looking at straight to the slightly left-hand side here. So it's one of New Zealand's most iconic natural landmarks. It's an active stratigraphic volcano at the southern end of the Taupo volcanic zone. It's about 23 kilometres east of Ohakune as we're travelling to next, and it's the largest active volcano actually in the whole of New Zealand. It's pretty well the highest point in the North Island, with the highest peak coming in at 2,797 metres. It's almost always snow-capped year-round, and on a beautiful day like today, it's pretty well all snowed over. So very, very impressive indeed. But for now, as we continue motoring our way through the extremely spectacular Tongariro countryside, what better time now just to sit back, relax, enjoy the next few minutes of scenery before we get to Ohakune. now going on around 1:45 p.m. and we're a little over 3.5 hours into our journey, or approaching almost around the halfway point actually for today, and we're approaching the small little town of Auckland, which is quite a well-known service centre for New Zealand's Northern Island ski fields. It's also known as a rural service town and as New Zealand's carrot capital actually. Really beautiful little ski resort sort of town here. It's located quite high altitude, still around 600 metres above sea level, and it has a population of around 1,500 people. So this is a really popular destination year round, whether people are here for the nearby Mount Ruapehu ski fields in the winter, or you got the summer hikers and trampers for doing the Tongariro alpine crossing in the warmer months. So yeah, really beautiful place here, Auckland. So as you'll find, Auckland Station is also another very historical railway station on the North Island's main trunk line route. Established in 1908, it's a similar sort of age to many of the other stations on the route. So yeah, as we're leaving Auckland now, there'll be certainly some more great views immediately after departing town. But yeah, I think now shortly it will be a great time to perhaps have a cheeky afternoon beverage. So yeah, let's head over to the cafe car and see what they have for an afternoon refreshment. So after spending literally probably 90% of the first half of the journey out in the spectacular outdoor viewing carriage, just enjoying the scenery go by and the thrill of the diesel locomotive, hearing all that sort of stuff hauling through the countryside, yeah, let's check out the cafe and get a beverage. I think is well deserved at this early afternoon time. So as you would very much expect with a very tourist orientated train, the food and beverage options on board are very much trying to showcase some of the best of the region. So yeah, in addition to barista-made coffee and soft drink, there's a good range of New Zealand craft beers. I got a Tuatara Pilsner, which is a pretty tasty, tropical, quite flavoursome Pilsner beer. Really nice drop indeed. Very nice to complement our journey today. There's also a good range of New Zealand white and red wines as well. Prices generally range for alcoholic drinks from about $9.50 to about $11.50 New Zealand. Anyway, we now are decreasing in altitude and heading down into the valleys on our way to Wellington today. The beautiful scenery is absolutely continuing though, so I'm out back in the outdoor viewing carriage up the front of the train. Really beautiful scenery as we head along. We're probably travelling around, averaging around 50-60 kilometres an hour, sometimes is up to as fast as about 95. So yeah, definitely not the quickest train today. But yeah, at least we're not missing the scenery by going so quick, I guess. So another one of the real highlights of the journey in terms of the amazing scenery as we travel on this Northern Explorer train is all the very impressive viaducts at Tongariro National Park. So there's many viaducts that you cross on this journey as we go through the foothills of Mount Ruapehu. There's a series of 3 steepling viaducts which bridge the deep ravines carved by rivers forming on the mountain slopes. Manganui, Otorohanga, the Makataoti and the Hapafonwuni. Please excuse my pronunciation. So you've got the 34 metre tall Manganui Otorohanga Viaduct, which is the last piece on the North Island Main Trunk Railway to be constructed. Completed in 1908, it's finally connected Auckland to Wellington by train. And it's on an obsolete bank on the western. So you've got the 34 metre tall Manganui Otorohanga Viaduct, which is the last piece on the North Island Main Railway to be constructed. That was completed back in 1908 and it finally helped connect the Auckland to Wellington by train. Also, the tallest of the 3 viaducts is the Makataoti Viaduct, which is just a couple minutes north of the Manganui Otorohanga Viaduct. 79 metres tall and with an impressive span of 262 metres, it's the second largest on the Northern Explorer route. Then you've got the Paraparaumu Viaduct. It's a little north of Ohakune. It was replaced in 1987 with a 51 metre high and 401 metre long concrete viaduct. This magnificent curved viaduct is a real photo hotspot. One of the highlights is you travel along the train and you see the old viaduct as you go around the bend. Also forms part of the old coach walking trail and cycling trail which you can do from Ohakune. The next series of viaducts on the Northern Explorer train follows the gorges of Rangitaki Valley and negotiates the river and its tributaries via the 5 towering viaducts. The most northerly is Toa Viaduct. It was built in 1904 and stands at 62 metres high. The most southerly is Makataoti Viaduct. It was built in 1901, measures 72 metres tall and comes in at 229 metres long. Between these 2 original iron truss viaducts in the Mangawaki deviation, which was completed in 1981 with 3 new concrete viaducts. To the north is North Rangitaki Viaduct, which comes in at 78 metres tall and 182 metres long. This is the second tallest on the Northern Explorer Railway. After that, this is closely followed by the Karawatu River Viaduct. That comes in at 74 metres tall and 182 metres long. Then a couple of minutes later south is the South Rangitaki Viaduct. This comes in at 75 metres tall and 315 metres long, making it the 3rd largest on the whole of the Northern Explorer journey. So yeah, plenty of amazing viaducts, very, very spectacular crossings on this journey with Northern Explorer.
Just over halfway through, probably about 200 kilometres
So we're now about 2 hours out from Wellington, and now we're going to be passing through the city of Palmerston North, which has a population of around 90,000 people and is located around 140 kilometres north of Wellington. Also acts as the terminus of the commuter rail service called the Capital Connection that links Wellington with Palmerston North. So yeah, really nice looking city here. So we're going to briefly pass through here. This is the second last stop on the service. Now that we're leaving Palmerston North, the next stop on today's journey as the sun starts to slowly fade will be Paraparaumu, which is a lovely sort of fairly large town in the Kapiti Coast region of the North Island, and it's located around 55 kilometres north of the nation's capital. Yeah, so for the next little bit, just enjoy the scenery as we continue on to Paraparaumu. Then after that we should start seeing some of the stunning Kapiti coastline along the way. Now that we've got a little bit of time before we get to Paraparaumu and we start hitting the Kapiti coastline, what a great time to enjoy another refreshing New Zealand craft beer. This time get a Monteith's black beer, which is a very, very tasty, sort of like a German box sort of beer. So that was really, really nice. And yeah, now let's head out to the outdoor viewing carriage again before we arrive into Paraparaumu. Because the last hour of the journey when we're going along the coast is probably going to be in the dark. That's a little bit of a shame. We get to at least to see Wellington at night, but yeah, shame they couldn't schedule it a little earlier to leave Auckland in winter. Would have solved that problem. Now about 5:30 PM going into the evening here, and we're now arriving at the station of Paraparaumu, which is a town of around 30,000 people. Paraparaumu Station serves as the second last stop on the Kapiti Line coast train, which departs from Wellington. So you can get here fairly easily from Wellington on the train to this town, so that's really, really cool. So yeah, from now as we leave the station here at Paraparaumu, we will be now heading along the Kapiti Coast before we arrive into Wellington in about an hour's time. So yeah, we should be some really, really spectacular views coming up shortly as the last bit of light fades out over the ocean as we journey along the Kapiti Coast. So one of the real great highlights of the trip still to come. Pity it couldn't complete it fully in daytime, but yeah, it was really cool seeing the glowing sun going down nonetheless. So yeah, for the next little bit, really hope you enjoy the Kapiti Coast scenery. leave Auckland maybe about half an hour earlier, that would have been perfect. But yeah, we can see the coast a bit. That's very cool. Absolutely spectacular way to finish the train trip. You know what, I actually take back my previous concerns about the train not leaving a little bit earlier. With those views, with the after sunset glow along the Kapiti Coast, absolutely spectacular. It's quite a fitting penultimate part of this journey down to Wellington today. Yeah, that was actually really pleasantly surprised. I really actually enjoyed that. Actually, yeah, really great. So probably about another 45 minutes to Wellington now. So yeah, I guess we will get to see the nation's capital under light. So that'll be really good. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Now that we're only minutes away from arriving at Wellington Railway Station, right in the middle of the nation's capital, what better time now to conclude our train review with Great Journeys of New Zealand on their Northern Explorer service today. So today's journey started at Hamilton Frankton Station, which is in the city of Hamilton, the fourth largest city in New Zealand. We departed at 10:15 a.m. and are on time for a 6:25 p.m. arrival into the nation's capital. The train actually originated in Auckland at the Strand station at 7:45 a.m, making for a total journey time on the entire route of close to 11 hours. So overall, I thought today's journey with the Northern Explorer train was an absolutely amazing experience. Absolutely one of my highlights of my most recent trip to New Zealand, where I paid a lot more attention to visiting the North Island on this occasion, while I did still spend 4 or 5 days on the south. The train journey, despite being far from the quickest way to get between Auckland, or in fact Hamilton where we started today, and the nation's capital of Wellington, is nonetheless an excellent way to see a huge amount of the North Island's stunning landscape in just a day, also whilst travelling between the cities while you're at it. The experience too is comfortable in terms of seating, and outdoor viewing carriage really works a treat for photography and, videographing of the stunning countryside. So that was a real highlight. The journey itself, I must admit, it's not cheap whatsoever. 189 New Zealand dollars, and to be totally honest, it's probably not the best value for money, even despite the trip being really enjoyable. The lack of any complimentary food or beverage is probably a little bit disappointing considering the price paid too, and the lack of not being able to select a seat online is a bit of a shame. Fortunately, the price tag, while it's probably what a lot of tourists would be willing to pay for the experience, it doesn't really make it an overly attractive option for locals just wanting to travel between Auckland and Wellington. Unfortunately, it's not any cheaper leaving from Hamilton either, even though it's 2.5 hours less journey time. It's a bit of a shame the main trunk route is not sort of better patronised. Maybe there could be a more affordable public, overnight service or something like that. But yeah, it's just a bit of a shame it's not better utilised, the main trunk line route in general. So in answering the question, as a visitor to New Zealand, whether you should try this train journey, I say absolutely you should. It is pretty expensive, but I think it is a really, really great experience. If you're a local, or you've already done the journey before, flying is probably just going to be a more affordable and quicker way, however. But yeah, New Zealand, it's quite an expensive place these days, sightseeing tours and day trips and that sort of stuff. So it's not hard to blow $189 in New Zealand on a day trip or any sort of the adventure activities that you can do in places like Queenstown and that sort of stuff. So if you look at it in that regard, it's a full day of seeing the best that New Zealand has to offer scenery wise. So yeah, I think it's absolutely well worth doing at least once when you visit New Zealand. So yeah, we arrive into Wellington's grand looking train station a few minutes ahead of our scheduled arrival time of 6:25. So that was really impressive, considering this train has earned a reputation over the years for often running significantly late. During the late autumn and winter, however, this train service does arrive into Wellington after dark. I think this could have been avoided if the train just departed Auckland, 30 minutes to an hour earlier during the winter months. Would just allow the journey to be fully completed in daytime hours. That being said, it is a really amazing sunset views as the train tracks parallel to the Kapiti Coast just before the end of the journey, so that was really amazing in itself. So it wasn't all a disappointment, but yeah, a little bit of tinkering with the timetable, you'd ensure that you didn't get to Wellington at the dark. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's train journey as we've taken the great journeys of New Zealand Northern Explorer service all the way from Hamilton down to the nation's capital of Wellington. Really hope you've been able to come and experience just how amazing this journey is and the beautiful spectacular scenery along the way through the Central Plateau, Tongariro National Park, all the valleys and the viaducts, down through the Kapiti Coast, and all the amazing Mother Earth scenery along the way as well. So yeah, I also hope you've been able to gather a further idea of what the train journey itself is like in terms of pricing, the route frequency, the amenities, the onboard experience and all that sort of stuff, and hopefully that gives you a bit of a better understanding whether you might wish to take this journey yourself. Anyway, if you have enjoyed today's train journey, make sure you really appreciate it if you do like and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments in the section down below. Really appreciate your feedback and thoughts on my content. Also got plenty of other flight reviews and occasionally train, bus, ferry reviews, all that sort of stuff as well. Also got a significant range of other aviation and walking tours and all that sort of stuff as well. So yeah, feel free to check out that. In the meantime, you can visit my website aussiejetsetter.com.au where you'll see all latest flight reviews, industry news, destination guides, frequent flyer hacks and more. But until next time, thank you very much for watching today's train journey on one of the most iconic train journeys that you can do in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And until the next one, thank you very much for watching and safe travels wherever that might take you.